Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're back, ready to cut through the noise, look at the sources, and really get you those critical insights you need to stay ahead. And today, wow, we are diving into something huge.
Really huge.
A development that could fundamentally reshape, really change how millions of creators, millions of users handle money online. We are talking about Rumble, the big social media platform. They're rolling out built-in crypto tipping, crypto payments.
And it's all happening because of this really, really deep partnership they have with Tether.
Exactly. This isn't just like adding a new button on the screen.
No.
It feels much more like a structural shift, an attempt to change how digital commerce actually works for creators.
That's absolutely right. And that's our mission for this deep dive, isn't it?
Yeah.
We need to unpack just how deep this Rumble and Tether connection goes.
Yeah.
Understand the specific crypto assets they're using. Bitcoin, Tether USD, Tether Gold, and importantly, why those specific ones. And then the big question.
Yeah.
What does this mean for crypto adoption? You know, getting beyond just the trading and speculation charts. Actual utility.
And the scale, let's just hit that again. It's not some small startup.
No way.
Our sources are clear. Rumble has around 51 million monthly users.
51 million.
That's the number of people suddenly getting access to built-in direct crypto payments right there on a platform they already use.
It's a massive potential on-ramp. Just enormous. Okay, let's unpack this.
Okay, so let's get into the mechanics first. The what and the when. The rollout timeline seems pretty ambitious. They're aiming for mid-December 2025 to have this built-in wallet feature up and running.
Yeah, operational by then.
Which means creators can start getting tips directly right inside Rumble.
Right, and the assets they're supporting. This is where it gets quite interesting, I think. It's not just, say, Bitcoin. They're enabling tips in Bitcoin, BTC, obviously, but also Tether USD, USDT, the big stablecoin. Tether Gold.xaut.
Okay, wait. XAUT, Tether Gold. I get BTC, the sort of digital gold, the main asset. And USDT makes perfect sense for stable value, for tipping.
Yeah.
But Tether Gold for tipping seems a bit unusual for potentially small amounts, doesn't it?
It does seem like an odd choice at first glance, I agree.
Yeah.
But it's likely quite strategic.
How so?
Well, think about the spectrum. BTC is volatile value, right?
Yeah.
USDT is stable dollar value. XAUT offers something else entirely. Value pegged directly to physical gold. So while it might not be used for, every tiny tip, it gives an option, maybe for larger contributions or for users who specifically want that physical asset backing. It kind of caters to a different mindset, maybe someone looking for long-term preservation of the value they're sending.
Or just a different flavor of value transfer. It broadens the appeal, maybe.
Exactly. It broadens that utility spectrum. It's not just about dollar stability.
Interesting angle. Okay, and the announcement itself, you mentioned that wasn't typical either.
Not at all. They didn't just drop a press release and call it a day. This whole thing was unveiled at the Plan Euro Forum in Lugano, Switzerland.
Right, signaling that global crypto focus.
Definitely. And they made it tangible immediately. The story goes, the very first official Bitcoin tip using this new system, it was a small amount sent right there on stage to a content creator, David Freiheit.
So, like a live demo, show, don't just tell.
Pretty much. A proof of concept in action, which, helps humanize it a bit.
Sure, but let's circle back to the money, because the financial ties here are, well, they're the real story, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely. What's truly significant here is you said this isn't your standard tech partnership. Like, platform hires payment processor.
No.
Tether owns a huge chunk of Rumble. Sources say about 48%. 48%.
Wow.
And remember, they'd already poured, what was it, US $775 million into Rumble before this.
Right, a massive investment.
So if you connect those dots,
Yeah.
this isn't just two companies working together. It's deep strategic alignment. You could almost call it vertical integration in a way.
That's a strong way to put it.
Well, think about it. Tether, whose core products are USDT and increasingly things like XAUT, they've effectively secured a massive, ready-made distribution channel.
Through Rumble's 51 million users.
Exactly. A high-growth platform focused on the creator economy. It's a very clever strategic play for getting their assets used in the real world.
And that level of integration, that scale, it really shifts the conversation, doesn't it?
Completely.
The why it matters becomes clear. With 51 million users potentially involved, we're moving past crypto just being an investment asset. This is about, mass consumer utility, daily use potentially.
Precisely. For Bitcoin, sure, but maybe even more so for stablecoins like USDT.
Eh?
This is a brand new, potentially huge use case. Content monetization, micropayments, all integrated smoothly, hopefully, into the platform where people are already watching content.
Yeah.
It helps move the narrative away from just price charts and trading bots towards actual economic activity. People using crypto to, well, do things.
Okay, but let's play devil's advocate for a second. Why would a creator actually switch?
Good question.
They've got PayPal, right? Patreon integration.
Yeah.
YouTube has Super Chat. There are established ways to get paid in dollars or euros or whatever. Those systems handle currency conversion. They deal with tax reporting frameworks, sometimes chargebacks. Isn't adding crypto just adding hassle? Technical complexity, maybe tax uncertainty, especially in places like the US?
That's absolutely the core challenge,
Yeah.
the friction point. And the answer really lies in that whole Web3 promise, right?
Which is?
Ownership, control.
Yeah.
If you look at the heart of the Web3 payments narrative, it's all about creators taking back control of their revenue streams.
Getting away from the big platforms taking their cut.
Exactly. Less dependence on those traditional platform gatekeepers who, let's be honest, can take significant fees or change their monetization rules on a whim, sometimes demonetizing creators unfairly. So direct peer-to-creator transfers, maybe using USDT for stability. They offer the potential for much faster settlement, especially cross-border, and potentially lower fees overall because you're kind of bypassing the traditional banking rails.
So the sales pitch is really about independence and maybe even efficiency, particularly for international creators or audiences. It's not just, hey, crypto's cool.
I think that has to be the pitch for it to stick, yeah.
Okay.
Independence, efficiency, direct connection.
Which, if it works, could mean a big shift away from creators being so reliant on, say, YouTube's ad algorithm, which everyone knows can be incredibly volatile and opaque.
Precisely. Its position is a direct challenge to that old model of digital monetization.
If, and it's a big if.
Very big if.
If the user experience is seamless enough and if they can navigate those regulatory and technical hurdles you just mentioned. Okay, so assuming this does gain some traction, what should we be looking for? What are the actual market signals, the tangible indicators that tell us if this Rumble experiment is working?
We need to watch the on-chain data very closely. That's where the proof will be.
Like what specifically?
Well, first, even if it's modest to start, sustained tipping activity in Bitcoin itself that represents new real-world demand for BTC that isn't just investment buying, it's usage.
Okay, a potential small bump in BTC demand.
Potentially.
Hmm.
Second, and this could be even more significant, I think, is tracking the usage metrics for USDT and maybe even XAUT in a consumer context.
Right, outside of DeFi and exchanges.
Exactly. This is potentially millions of people using stablecoins for small everyday transactions. That could really boost the utility metrics for stablecoins, showing they're being used as actual payment rails.
And thinking competitively, if Rumble pulls this off, even partially, it feels like it could set off a bit of an arms race among platforms, doesn't it?
Oh, I think it almost certainly would. If Rumble successfully attracts or retains creators because of this direct crypto monetization,
Then other platforms have to react.
they have to. Integrated payments, built-in wallet features, tools that give creators more revenue control, those suddenly become really important competitive differentiators.
So you could see YouTube alternatives, maybe even the big social media players feeling pressure to build similar things or partner up with crypto firms.
Absolutely. They risk losing talent, especially creators who really value that financial independence. If they don't offer comparable tools, it forces their hand, potentially.
So for listeners who are maybe traders, analysts, or just really keen observers, how do we track this success or failure accurately? What are the key data points to watch?
You'd want to monitor on-chain activity, specifically looking for patterns around wallet addresses that can be reasonably identified as belonging to Rumble creators.
Yeah.
It's tricky, but possible.
Okay.
Tipping behavior essentially becomes a really valuable early signal of how well this broader adoption is going.
And the specific metrics?
I'd say there are two main ones. First, the total number of tips being sent. That tells you about the breadth of adoption or lots of people trying it.
Right. Volume of transactions.
And second, the average tip size, probably looking at it in both BTC and USDT terms. Are these just tiny symbolic tips, people playing around?
Or are they becoming substantial enough that creators might actually see it as a meaningful part of their income?
Exactly. Low numbers mean it's maybe a novelty. High, consistent numbers suggest real economic activity is happening. That's the key distinction. Now, we've been talking about the potential, but we absolutely have to pump the brakes a bit and inject some skepticism here.
Agreed. It's easy to get carried away by the announcement.
Very easy. Look, launching a feature is one thing. Getting 51 million users plus all the creators on the platform to actually change their payment habits. Habits ingrained over years. That's incredibly difficult.
The inertia is huge.
It is, which leads to the biggest question hanging over this whole thing. Will the actual volume of tips be meaningful? Will it be substantial enough to justify this massive strategic bet by Tether and Rumble?
Or does it just become this, fancy feature that looks good in press releases, but hardly anyone actually uses for real money?
That's the core risk, a high-profile, potentially low-utility feature.
And then there are the operational risks, just making it work smoothly and safely. Rumble's putting in a wallet feature. How good is the UX going to be? How secure is it? These are critical.
Absolutely critical, and we need to know more about how they're implementing it. You mentioned non-custodial wallets.
Yeah, if users hold their own private keys.
Yeah, then Rumble can't help them if they lose those keys.
Right, no password reset.
And we need to be really clear what that means for an average user, someone maybe new to crypto. Non-custodial means you are the bank. You lose your key, your funds are gone. Forever.
Oof.
That level of personal responsibility, the need for security education to stop people getting phished or hacked and losing everything, that's a massive, massive hurdle for mass adoption. It could easily scare people off.
Definitely a friction point.
Yeah.
And beyond the tech, there's always regulation lurking.
Always.
Crypto tipping, especially on a big US-facing platform. That's kind of new territory, isn't it?
It is. And you can bet that if this starts to move serious volume, payment regulators, especially in the US, are going to take a very close look.
Thinking about things like AML, KYC, anti-money laundering, know your customer rules.
Exactly. How does Rumble handle that? How does Tether? They need to tread very carefully through that regulatory minefield.
Yeah.
One misstep could cause major problems.
Okay, and final risk, market perception.
Yeah, what if it just fizzles after all the hype, the big investment, the strategic narrative?
Yeah.
If the adoption numbers just aren't there?
Then the story disappoints.
Massively. The market is desperate for real-world crypto utility use cases. If this high-profile experiment doesn't deliver significant usage, the narrative could easily flip from, wow, Web3 payments are here, back to, well, that was mostly hype. Still a niche thing.
The pressure is definitely on to show results. Hashtag tag tag outro. Okay, so let's try to wrap this deep dive up. The Rumble and Tether partnership. It really does feel like one of the biggest, most significant real-world tests for crypto payments we've seen, certainly in the social media and creator space.
Without a doubt. High stakes.
It's a clear attempt to shift the focus from just, speculation and DeFi yields towards actual measurable utility on a platform with potentially 51 million users.
Yeah, and the results, the data that comes out of this rollout over the next, say, 6 to 12 months, it's going to be absolutely critical, foundational even.
How so?
Because those numbers, that adoption data, will largely dictate whether this model, direct, potentially decentralized on-chain payments between fans and creators, becomes the standard, or at least a standard.
The blueprint for the next wave of content monetization.
Potentially, yes. We're basically watching the market decide in real time if this is the future revenue roadmap for creators online. It's fascinating to observe.
It really is. And before we get to our final thought, just a quick note. If you found this deep dive useful, if it helped clarify things for you, we'd really appreciate it if you could take a second to subscribe, maybe like this, leave a comment with your thoughts.
Yeah, it genuinely helps.
It really does help us out with visibility, helps the algorithm know people find this valuable, and lets us keep making more deep dives like this one for you.
We appreciate the support.
We definitely do. Okay, so final thought to leave you with, something to mull over. Let's assume, just for argument's sake, that crypto tipping does become mainstream on big platforms like Rumble, maybe others too. Which specific token do you think ultimately wins out in that scenario? Considering everything utility, maybe volatility concerns, ease of use for average people, is it going to be Bitcoin? Is it the stability of USDT? Does something unique like Tether Gold find a real niche?
Or something else entirely, perhaps.
Or maybe something totally different emerges as the go-to for consumer crypto payments. That's the big question to ponder as we all watch the data start coming in from this Rumble experiment.